walk through Module 2. So once you get into Module 2, which is going to be right here, Chemistry of Life, this is where we're going to really jump into the depth of biology. You'll have the overview as usually. This time in the overview, you've got a couple of videos. These clips oftentimes don't come up the first time around. So the first time around, you may have to go to the BCTC library and search your library for Human Within Works videos. Go. And then you'll find, once it comes up, these are the videos. Yeah, pulse, fuel, those are the ones you want. Once you click on those, once you click on one of them, it doesn't matter which one. But once you once you connect it, it then comes up. So there's your and the reason why I gave you those to look at is because I want you to understand that atoms and molecules, like I said before, everything is made from atoms and molecules, right? So I want you to understand why these atoms and molecules matter. And one of the really important ones, well, two of the really important ones, one is oxygen. How long can you live without oxygen? How long can you live without fuel? What's your fuel? And so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about atoms and molecules because that's our oxygen and that's our fuel. So, as usually, you have demonstrate competencies. Now, the activities, the assignments are going to be a little different this time around. So, there's going to be two parts of them. And clearly, I'm going to have to adjust the deadlines in here. But the two parts basically are for the first half, and I expect you to do this by Wednesday or so. For the first half, you're going to read chapter 2 and 3, answer the sample questions for yourself again, do the mastering biology associated for chapter 2 and 3. Then we're going to have an assignment, the natural versus chemical quiz, and you're going to tell me something about those clips. We're going to have another study aid, and this time we're also going to talk a little bit about plagiarism. Once you do these, and once you get a high enough grade on chapter 3, you get the ability to get to the second part of the assignments. And in this second part of the assignments, you're going to have a diet assignment, a chemistry game review, and then a discussion board just talking about what you've learned so far. So this is not terrible, I don't think. So as usually, just to kind of walk you through there, we're going to have to pay attention to the properties of chemicals here. At the end of this, please make sure you know what a valence electron is. We're going to talk about that a lot. The octet rule is important. The macromolecules are important. These things are important. We're going to come back to those over and over again. And if you get lost here, you're going to be really lost for a really long time. Materials are here for chapter 2 and 3. They may be in two different folders, 2 and 3. And as usually, you've got the PowerPoint, you've got the sample questions, all of the things you need to do the homework. Reading the textbook, SQR3 reading system. If it worked for you last time, use it again. Here are two lectures where I'm telling you what are the kinds of things that I want you to sort of get out of those chapters. And then here is the ebook access. You click on it, you get to the book. You've figured out how to do that by now, right? These demonstrations, make sure you watch those. Those will help you with the assignment. So basically, the answers for the natural versus chemical are largely in here and in here. So make sure you read those before you go in for the assignment, natural versus chemical. Here are the assignments. Again, you have a list of assignments again, and I'm going to update the deadlines, obviously. Then you have the mastering, as usually, and the chapter quizzes. And you've got chapter 3 quiz. And again, check your answers with the with mastering right before you do the quizzes. Um, the video assignment is just tell me what you think about it. Plagiarism, there's a couple of things you got to read up on it. And when you go in the assessment, there are a couple of questions here. And of course, you saw where the links were with the information to go along with that. So that's that one. And then last but not least, so in here, then you have a study aid for chapter 2 and 3. Now, this study aid is going to be a little different from usually, because what you're going to have here is you're going to have an activity that you're going to do. And this activity, you click on it and it's here. And what you do is you can, so this activity here will ask you to sort these into this chart. And the way you move them is literally by dragging them or by going copy and then paste. Control V, Control C, Control V. And then you can move them around. So you can do that same thing too. And once you finish that, what you do is you submit a screenshot of this once you've done this. And one of the things I want to teach you with that, or I want to just show you with that, is that there's ways to write things down and learn things that are not necessarily just writing things, right? Sometimes putting things in a chart is actually very helpful. So that's going to be your study aid. And then we've got the natural versus chemical. Now you're going to have to do, and I'm going to pause this while I do this. You're going to have to get, this will become available once you get a passing grade on chapter 3. Actually, I think it's an 8. But I'm going to pause this real quick and pass chapter 3 real quick so that I can open the next part of the assignment. So let me pause this real quick. So now that I have passed quiz number 3, part 2 is open for me. So I'm going to open this up. And there is a chemistry game review here where you simply have a couple of links to games. There's an interactive periodic table of elements. There's an exercise simulation. And there is an outer space molecule chase. You just pick whichever one you want to do. And tell me about it. And hang on. We close this out, I believe. Yeah, there's the game review. We're going to close that real quick. Oh, close that game review. And then last but not least, the drinking straw diet. The drinking straw diet, some people struggle with a little bit. But basically what I want you to do is I want you to make, you are a nutritionist and you have the task to make a meal plan for 2 days. Feel free to use online calculators for this. You don't have to do this by hand. Whatever, just tell me what you used. But your goal is to use these specifics. And then once you look at your results, I want you to look at the results and think about what you've got there. What are those macromolecules? What are macromolecules? So what are you learning from this? What do you know about proteins? Where do you find proteins? Were there any surprising places where you found proteins? Where are we finding carbohydrates? That kind of thing. So I want you to look a little bit at food, and what is in food and where does it come from. And that's pretty much it for this week. Optional materials this week, we've got those other games and the exercise simulations, those other links again. And that's really all for this week. Hopefully, that's going to be useful.